On December 26, 1996, a 6-year-old girl was found dead inside her own home in Boulder, Colorado. Her name was JonBenét Ramsey. She had been reported missing just hours earlier after a ransom note was discovered inside the house. The note demanded money, but police were already inside before any instructions could be followed. Her parents believed she had been kidnapped from her bedroom during the night, but her body was later found in the basement of the same house. There were no clear signs of forced entry. The crime scene had already been disturbed before it was fully secured. From the beginning, the case contained contradictions that could not be easily explained. What appeared to be a kidnapping quickly became something far more complex.
Inside the Ramsey home in Boulder, the morning began with a discovery that immediately changed the situation. Patsy Ramsey found a handwritten ransom note placed on the staircase inside the house. The note claimed that her daughter had been taken during the night and demanded a specific sum of money. She called out for her husband, and within moments, the police were contacted. Officers arrived at the home quickly, treating it as a possible kidnapping. Friends and family were also called to the house, adding more people to the scene early on. Despite the ransom instructions, the home was not immediately secured as a controlled crime scene. Officers conducted a search of the house, but did not initially locate JonBenét. From the very beginning, critical moments unfolded inside a space that was no longer preserved.
As officers remained inside the home, the situation continued to be treated as an active kidnapping. The ransom note instructed the family to wait for a call, but that call never came.
Hours passed with people moving in and out of the house, further disturbing the environment. At one point, an officer suggested that the home be searched again, more thoroughly. John Ramsey began checking areas of the house that had not been fully examined earlier. He moved toward the basement, an area that had received limited attention during the initial search. Inside a small storage room, he found his daughter. JonBenét was lying on the floor, her body covered and unresponsive. He carried her upstairs into the main living area in full view of others. From that moment, the case shifted from a kidnapping to a homicide inside the home. Once the body was brought upstairs, the scene inside the home changed immediately. The area that had already been compromised became the center of a homicide investigation. JonBenét had suffered fatal injuries that raised multiple questions about how the crime occurred. Investigators noted that the ransom note no longer aligned with the reality inside the house. Attention turned to whether the crime had been staged to appear as a kidnapping. The basement area where she was found became critical to understanding the sequence of events. However, the earlier movement of people had already affected potential evidence. Key forensic details could no longer be isolated with certainty. From that point forward, the investigation was shaped by what could not be recovered from the original scene. As forensic work continued, the ransom note became one of the most closely examined pieces of evidence. Its length, wording, and specific demands raised questions about who had written it and why. Investigators confirmed that the note had been written using materials found inside the house. This detail shifted attention further toward the possibility of an internal scenario. At the same time, no clear evidence of forced entry was identified anywhere in the home. The basement room where JonBenét was found remained central to reconstructing the sequence of events. Investigators attempted to determine how she had been moved and when the injuries occurred. Each element pointed to a controlled environment, rather than an external intrusion. The case was now balancing between two conflicting directions that could not be fully aligned.
Investigators began reconstructing a detailed timeline of the night inside the Ramsey home. They focused on when the family returned, what movements occurred, and what was reported afterward. Differences in statements created uncertainty about the exact sequence of events. Attention also turned to physical evidence collected from the scene. Certain findings suggested contact that could not be clearly explained. At the same time, those findings did not point conclusively to any one individual. The investigation expanded to consider both internal and external possibilities. Each direction introduced new questions without resolving the original ones. The timeline remained the central challenge, with critical moments still unaccounted for. As the investigation continued, multiple theories emerged to explain what had happened inside the house. One theory suggested an intruder had entered, committed the crime, and attempted to stage a kidnapping. Another focused on the possibility that the events began inside the home and were later misrepresented. Each theory relied on specific details, but none could account for all aspects of the case. Forensic findings were debated, with different interpretations leading in different directions. Public attention intensified, bringing additional scrutiny to every element of the investigation. New leads were followed over time, but many could not be verified or confirmed. The case became defined by conflicting interpretations rather than a single clear narrative. Investigators remained without a conclusive explanation that fit every piece of evidence. In the years that followed, the case remained open without a definitive resolution. New evidence was periodically reviewed, but none provided a complete explanation. Advances in forensic technology allowed certain elements to be re-examined. Even then, the results did not fully align with any single theory. The original handling of the scene continued to influence what could and could not be proven. Key evidence may have been lost in the earliest hours of the investigation. The ransom note, the timeline, and the location of the body remained central, unanswered questions. Each of these elements pointed in different directions that could not be fully reconciled. The murder of JonBenét Ramsey remains unsolved, shaped by moments that could not be preserved.